It's me, Melissa. Today I just want to talk about my personal experiences with amniocentesis. Uh, both my pregnancies, I have done the procedure, so I thought I would make a video talking about it because I know a lot of people have a lot of questions about the procedure. So anyway, here goes. I'm gonna list um, put a a page that explain why most of people doing this procedure. So here it goes. So why do I chose to do this procedure? One of the biggest reason was because my first pregnancy, when I did my FTS combined with my second screening test, I came back with a very high risk. So my baby was 1 in 100. That means out of 100 babies, one of the baby could have Down syndrome. So at that time, I was a complete mess because I was so scared and so upset. So my doctor talked to me about amniocentesis, which I already know before I got pregnant about this procedure. Um, but at that time, I thought I'll go through the blood screening test first before I consider if I want to do the procedure. And since my risk is really high, I didn't think I should hesitate and, like I know there were risks involved, but anyway, I went ahead and did the procedure. And I'm going to talk about the procedure itself a bit in the later part of this video. But that was one of the major reasons I did it the first time. And so the second time around, I figure for all the stress I went through for my first pregnancy, for me, when I first see my OB, I told him that I'm just gonna go ahead with the procedure. So that's one of the major reasons why I did it. Talk about the procedure itself. Basically, amniocentesis is for a doctor to insert a needle, maybe like this long, and into your stomach. Well, I wouldn't say stomach, like into your uterus, and to get the amnio fluid from your baby. And because the baby's skin they have all kinds of amnio activities shedding in the amnio fluid. So out of the fluid, they took about, I think it was 20 ml. And by the time you're 16 to 18 weeks, which is the best time to do it, you should at least have 200 to 250 ml of amnio fluid in your uterus. So they would take about 20 ml, which sounds a lot, but it's really just a spoonful of amnio fluid. And then they would develop cultures on the amnio activities from your baby's skin. So I'm just gonna post a picture here and then you can see how it was done. Um, so during the procedure, the doctor will monitor the baby activities. Actually, before the procedure itself, the doctor will first use the ultrasound and check if the baby was active, the baby was doing well, also the amount of your amnio fluid before he starts the procedure. After that, he will put a lot of iodine, basically something to sterilize your stomach. Then by the assistance of the ultrasound, that he will then insert the needle to a part that is far away from the baby. once he insert the needle, he would take the needle out and he would just leave the pointy part, which is actually soft. A lot of people is thinking that part is very hard and it could harm the baby. But as soon as he insert the needle into your ears, he will take the needle out right away. Basically, and then he will then put a syringe and then tuck out the amnio fluid. So the procedure itself for myself takes about 3 to 5 minutes. Um, does it hurt? I wouldn't say it really hurts because it's really fast for the whole procedure to be done. Um, you'll feel two kinds of pain. So first kind of pain is like when you go take a blood sample. So you'll feel a pinch through your stomach wall, and then once the needle enters the uterus wall, then you will feel a crampy feeling. That's very similar when you have your period, like so similar, but it takes like split seconds, and then the needle is already in. By then, the doctor would actually already remove the needle, and then they will start taking the fluid. Usually, by the time you just think it started, it's already finished. And after the procedure, they will put like I know back in my country they will put a band-aid on the insertion point, but here my doctor just wipe off my stomach, make sure I'm clean, and they will check the baby again after the procedure to make sure everything's fine. Then you'll be sent to the resting area for on a reclining chair for about 30 minutes. And I think that's pretty much how the procedure went. Okay, so the post-procedure care, um, for me, they gave me a list to say basically just to take it easy, and then usually you want to arrange for someone to drive you home, and don't lift anything for more than 20 pounds after the procedure, and just take a lot of rest. Some people actually, like in half a day, they're already doing all the house chores and stuff, and I'm a more careful person, so after the procedure I actually just kind of lift my leg up, and I didn't do much. Even when my baby need my assistance, I will like tell her to do it herself, and so I try not to lift her at all. And it's a good thing she's already 2, and she's already over 2 years old, so she does a lot of things herself, so which really helped. Um, and the reason is because when you avoid trying to tire yourself out, you are avoiding the risk of getting a miscarriage. And then there are a couple of risks involved with this procedure. The first big thing, of course, is a miscarriage, which the rate of miscarriage initially was assessed at 1/200. So out of 200 procedures done, one could experience miscarriage. But now depends on the scale of the doctor. That it's like 1 in 1,000, 1 in 400. So that really depends now. The risk is comparatively still really low because most of the hospital, they do not send a doctor that's not skillful to do it. And second thing, which is really really rare, is the infection. So when you go home, if you find you get fever and chills in the next 4 or 5 days, make sure you go back to the doctors and or call the emergency, because you could have amnio fluid infections, which is because the needle wasn't sterilized and certain things. So one of the tricks is before you do the procedure, make sure you have your stomach, like your tummy clean, but don't put any creams or anything extra on the stomach. So just make sure it's clean, and plus they were gonna sterilize it. But if you have like heavy cream and stuff, it's probably gonna be a little hotter to clean, right? So just take a shower and then just leave it clean and go to your hospital for the procedure. And another thing you have to watch for is you have vaginal bleeding, and of course the very obvious sign of a problem is when you start losing water. So, and then when you lose water, it's not like a little bit water. Basically, if you lose water, you'll be like, you don't have control of amount of fluid that's coming out. So that's like a worst scenario. Sorry there, my video got cut off. But to continue what I was saying before, like that would be the worst case scenario if you're starting losing your amnio fluid. But even that, like it does happen to a lot of people. If you act really quickly, if you go to the hospital, they will be able to help you, like, you know, to stop that from happening. So it is very, so far a lot of my friends back home, I'm from Taiwan, so a lot of them, when they hit age of 34, they usually chose to proceed with the amniocentesis, and it hasn't happened to any of my friends. So for myself, I have to say the first 2 days you do have a little cramps on the stomach part, but it's not as bad as people thought. You just make sure you take it easy, because a lot of people actually, once they finish, they go shopping or they go, like, they don't stop. So just make sure you take a lot of rest after the procedure. I think likely you'll be fine. And about the result, right now there are a couple. Uh, there's one called fish. I think in States they call fish, but here it's like a called rapid result, which will test your major 3 chromosomes. So it's like Down syndrome, trisomy 13 and 18, and also the sex of the baby that would be available. Like I think it was 24 to 72 hours that the lab will find that out within a couple days. But the final panel will only be available after 2 to 4 weeks. Depends how your baby's culture developed. But like my genetic consultant said, most of the women came back normal. So it is a very nerve-wracking thing to do, because without knowing what's gonna happen, uncertainty always make people nervous. But for me, I think it was the best way to ensure that I could enjoy the rest of my pregnancy, because I am a kind of mother that worries a lot of things. Like I worry about what kind of stuff I put on my skin. I worry about the food I eat, and so like every little thing would trigger my nerves. So I think for that, it's um, the one of the things that would put me at ease, especially at my age, because I'm 35. A lot of people say, oh, 40 is the new 30. You shouldn't worry about it until you're 40. But also because I had this baby, I'm having it in my 30s. I just want to make sure everything's fine. In my opinion, I think it's the responsible thing to do, but I do not recommend everybody to do it. It's really a personal preference and personal choice. I do get a lot of advices. It was like, oh, you shouldn't do that because of risk. And like I do feel a lot of pressure when I was doing the procedure. Okay, so I think I better wrap this up because my camera is like really acting on me. Um, anyway, I just thought I would post this video to share my experience with you guys, and hopefully it could help some of the people. Like my eyes are getting so tired, like I'm falling asleep here. So I'm gonna just wrap this up, and thanks for watching. And if you have any questions, please post the comments and I will try to answer them as soon as I see it. Okay, thanks. Bye.